So if you look to any life should be quite, full of quality. So if you look, this axis, it's the life quality, this axis is the number of years. So normally we should have a life until very last day with good quality, very last day of our life, and then, die overnight, very peacefully. What I was saying that if we look to the life of any of a regular person at the street, so you see already at the age of 35, etc., 50% of the life quality has gone. So this person, for example, around 70, he lost 80% of his life quality. So normally he should be able to run, drive his car, and walk up 6 floors, have sex, play with the grandchildren, etc. What happened? He's almost in the bed, more or less, having some struggle around his well-being. So what's the reason why that happens? So when I gone through all this, I found out 4 real reasons. One real reason is we are born, we are coded by nature to live on food, real food. But what happened last 60 years, starting from 1950s, we do eat products. So there is no more real food available. So it's very difficult to get real food. You get processed food, you get all kind of, industrialized food. Normally the place I was born, Turkey, we have tomato between July, August, maybe a bit September. Now you can eat tomato even in January because it's a product, not anymore, it's a natural, whatever it is, it's a product. So what happened? From food, we went into something called food-like things, products. So second item, it's our psychology, the way our mind works. And normally we should be able to handle maybe 5-6 extraordinary moments a day. So a lion is hunting you, or you are hungry for food and you are trying to hunt, or you have some kind of enemy nearby you threatening you. So what happened? From those 5-6 few thousand years ago, we are into few thousand a day. You have about 65,000 thoughts per day in your mind and in your head, and then you have I don't know how many, maybe about 3,000 from the news, TV, newspapers, or Facebook, or whatever it is. And then you have normal living ones, like in the traffic, you are trying to miss your plane, you are delayed to a meeting, somebody irritates you with his ideas. So what happened? Instead of being calm, peaceful, enjoying ourselves between 2 stress moments, we have time to recover, we just into something called chronic stress. So we are almost 100% online with the stress, connected to the stress. This is the second contributor why we do lose the life quality, why we get sick, why we have such a problem in our life. Third one is, we are supposed to live in nature. So we should today, for example, should gather in a kind of forest, garden, or a farm, whatever it is. Now we sit here, air conditioning is dangerous, the paint here, most likely chemical, everything else is chemical. So we are just in a chemical world instead of being in nature. So third contributor, food is first, instead of food-like things, products. Second, instead of having a peaceful, rejuvenating life, we are into chronic stress, and instead of being in nature, we are into a kind of man-made environment. Everything is chemical or toxic. The number 4 item which contributes that we leave a bit of our life quality on the table, that we don't move. So like here, we all sit, you are different, weight, height, etc., but everybody sits on a chair 45 centimeters. So we just get the shape of our furnitures. So we sit, we lay down, and we don't move anymore. And in order to, say, get a relief of not moving, so we get subscription to the gym, etc., but still we don't go there. So that's the 4 items where the food, our mind, the nature, and that we don't move is the 4 reasons, according to me, why we do live a bit less than what we could live. So what happens? There's a mismatch between this food, mind, nature, and the movement. That leads to 3 things. One is deficiency. You don't get enough what you need. So you don't get enough enzymes, you don't get enough minerals, you don't get enough amino acids, you don't get enough phytochemicals, you get less. Next is toxemia. You get too much toxins. So what happens? You get these food-like things, all this environment with chemicals, and everything else builds up toxic presence in our bodies. Third item is chronic stress. As we discussed, we are too much connected into the stress. So this 3 ends up with low life quality, burnout, chronic diseases. Almost 93% of all the death cases comes from chronic diseases. Only 7% dies by natural reasons. So of 100, 7 dies because of natural reasons, 93% dies because of, say, this kind of chronic diseases. So that's the definition of the problem from my side. After all these years, I said, okay, I can define the problem like this. So let's look if we can have an idea, because I'm going to have a short presentation. Dr. Lodi will have a longer one. He will go as an expert in details. But let me give as a kind of a life consumer what to be done. Okay, so what I'm saying, there is something called well-being. That's the, that's the gap between how you feel today and how good you could feel. That gap is the well-being. And as a company, I mean, after 2 years of searching after well-being, I thought this could be a good business. I started hobby business. I started 2005, this company. And so what we are doing, what I try in my life and in the company, we are trying to bridge this gap from, say, living with less quality to whatever we could have as a maximum, optimum life quality. Another thing I like to get addressed, so I mean, we have such a view because of the medical system, you are either sick or healthy. That's wrong. That's nothing like that. The health is between 0 and 100. 0, you are dead. 100, you are perfect. But we are somewhere. We are 52 healthy, 48 healthy, 62 healthy. So when you come to a level where you become sick, but you were there maybe last 5 years. So diseases, chronic diseases builds up over 20 years or so. So don't think that you get a bypass or heart attack just because what you have eaten yesterday. That was last 20 years, 25 years. When you become cancer, it's not overnight. It takes long time because all this toxemia, etc., is accumulated in the body and we don't function as we should function. So what happens around us, that we start from full health, and then we are very, say, eagerly collect the deficiency, toxins, chronic stress, and bingo, we get the symptom. They say, oh, you have cancer, or they say you have high blood pressure. or they say you are diabetes. So suddenly they see this symptom. What happens? The medical system only addresses the symptom. So they give you pills, they do the surgery, etc., but they don't take you to the full health. They only treat the symptom, and you are left. So you go out from the hospital, after a few months, you go back, say it's cancer, they say, oh, metastasis, but it was there all the time. So that's what's the point of that? The point is, it's your responsibility. If you are okay with the symptom, medical system help you to overcome the emergency, it's your job to make a journey to the full health. So nobody helps you. You have to take the responsibility. So as a company, what we are trying to do, we are trying to bridge this journey to full health. So if you look, as I explained, if you look drugs and surgery, what modern hospitals deals with, I call it emergency treatment. So they take care of the symptom and they take care of the life-threatening, say, part of it. Then full healing requires you are in a perfect diet, you have a healing mindset, you have to have intentional healing, you have to have a peaceful life. Natural therapies are like high-dose vitamin C, ozone, oxygen, or whatever, curcumin, etc. Administered in a proper way is a booster. You get much faster healing. And healing environment is very important. Like if you are stressful environment, like you are having breast cancer, but you work in the risk department of a bank, it will never work. So you have to leave your job out to a better healing environment if you want to get the cancer out of your life. So this is how you should feel about diseases. Either go to the hospitals, doctors to get the emergency treated, or after you need to go through a long process of healing yourself to full health. To give you an idea, it takes about 3 days to get a new time. It takes about 5 days a new layer of intestines. It takes about 66 weeks to get a new skin, and 6 to 8 months to get a new liver. So if you are clean, about 8 months, you will be a new person. Anybody here deciding, okay, I like to be a new person? So just try 6 to 8 months of clean, mind-wise, good intention, happy life, good nature, so you are a perfect new person. So I myself, I had about, before I get retired, so I had a kind of blockage on my vein, around 40%, etc. After this type of clean life, I started 2002. I never had, say, such a problem. My body is recovered and I don't get sick nowadays. I only get sick if I eat bad food. What is bad food? I will come to that. Okay, so next is about LifeCo. So what we try to do, we have 2 centers in Turkey, Bodrum and Antalya, 1 center in Phuket. We are going to open 1 in Dubai. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to be your partner on your healing process. So if you decide one way or other to get better, so we are there, we are partnering you with your diet, with your natural therapies, with meditation, yoga, everything else to help you out of this. So it's about a normal program. I mean, minimum is 4 days. A normal program is for say a kind of recovery yearly, 7 days. But if you want to do a major change, you want to get rid of your diabetes, etc., you should be minimum 21 days in a program. So either with us at the center or your home, part with us, part at home, etc. It depends how you are ready mind-wise, how you are equipped with how much interested you are. So if you look, what are we talking about, such a process? So you need to understand when it comes to lifestyle and food, etc. So there is a therapeutic part of it. So if you are in a healing process, you have to consider you are on a therapeutic diet. You are eating only for cleaning your body and nurturing your body. So there is very little, there is very little, reason that you should, be happy because of taste and because of your stress, etc. So you stop emotional eating, you stop everything else, you only focus clean eating. Maintenance means you are at home and you are dealing with reasonable, lifestyle where you eat 70-80% clean food, 20 to 30% indulgence for making yourself happy. So I will go in what's indulgence, etc. Indulgence also something like I indulge every year when I go for skiing to French Alps with my daughter, and there is no good food over there. So I need to indulge the whole week, and I do a correction when I'm back to home. So I do get 1 week indulgence, just eating food-like things, and I go back home, maybe keep 1 week very clean to get corrected. So you have to understand what kind of relation you have to your food. Is it therapeutic? Is it maintenance? Is it indulgence? Also, if you want to have any experience around your food, what I recommend, you close your eyes, you take whatever you like very much, and then you chew enough. And then you will get a real feeling about how that food fits into your taste. So very often, my experience, very often the things I liked very much didn't work if I close my eyes and chew 40 times or so, they become uneatable. Try at home, you will find out a lot of things uneatable. I tried with Kobe beef, it becomes a mouthful of oil. I tried with panini, it becomes a kind of gummy ball if you close your eyes, and the taste becomes so awful. So that's how you can get a real feeling about if you like a food or not. If you look at kind of food pyramid, best food is water and herbal teas. Of course, not eating is even better. So if you don't eat, it's best. Fasting is the best food. Water is the next best with herbal teas. Green, darker leafy vegetables are good. Legumes are good. Whole grains you should avoid, but if you can't, at least eat whole grains. Fruits and seeds and nuts you should eat less because fruits are sugary, seeds and nuts so powerful but very good food. Indulgence is everything else. Meat is indulgence, chicken is indulgence, cheese indulgence, risotto indulgence, spaghetti is indulgence. Whatever is not natural is indulgence. Whatever processed, cooked, grilled, fried, etc., indulgence, because you change the chemical background of the food. So as soon as you put, like Tom has something, like he says, if you put your hand on the fire, then you can put your food also on fire. So if your hand does okay on a fire, then food could do also, but it doesn't. So that's about the food pyramid, what I recommend. You should try to develop a relation with your food. Don't eat just because it's 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 15 o'clock, or whatever o'clock. Try to have a real hunger behind your eating. Real hunger is very seldom. I tried to have real hunger over 2 months. I couldn't. 2 years ago, I insisted if I could feel real hunger. It was really difficult to have such a experience. If I go into a bit of mindset, because all this is nowadays for us, because all of you, I believe, you are almost done with your basic needs. So what drives you, it's your mindset and your habits, your, say, whatever, repeated actions. So when you look to the life, everybody is governed by something called reference frame. So we do have a reference frame. Swedes has a reference frame. Turks has a different one. Americans has a different one. Christians has a different one. So if you look to the reference frame, genetics in the bottom, family and friends, it's more or less core family, and your neighborhood. Second, culture and religion, education, work, your social life, and your mood. So all this makes that moment's reference frame. Everything coming from outside is passing through this reference frame, and then you take position either consciously or unconsciously. So unconsciously means more or less, if I go to the next, so if you see here, you get a trigger or input. You can't do anything about input. When I'm telling you about this indulgence, don't eat this and that, so you can't do anything about it. It just goes into your brain, and the reference frame is there. And then if you like whatever boozing, you like eating, say, fast food, etc., you just process it and get a kind of disappointment of my talk. And that's a hormone released in your body. If you are conscious enough, if you are mindful, then you have a chance to act. You say, okay, this bloody guy telling all these things which is useless, so I really get upset, but since I feel I'm upset, I will tell him, oh, okay, these are good, but not for me, or whatever it is. I think he's nice, but not in this room. That's action. Action is always healthy. If you really feel how you are experiencing the moment, that's an action. If you don't feel you are on autopilot, it ends up with something called reaction. Reacting is an autopilot. You do this reaction without knowing why you are doing. And then you collect a lot of, say, they call it India Sankara, the, say, stress accumulation, and then you have a miserable life. So the point here is you should be aware that everybody has a different type of reference frame. The point is you should be trying to be mindful, feel, act rather than react if you want to be happy wherever circumstance you are into. And again, we have this thing with habits. What happens? You get a trigger. Like, for example, here the trigger was 2 o'clock coffee. And you went out, it was a smell, and cookies was there, and seeing, that was a trigger. What happens? Then you go into the routine. You take your coffee, and you take your cookie, that's routine. You don't plan this. When you come here, you didn't come here for eating cookie or coffee. Just, it was a trigger, and you just did the routine. So you take coffee, and then the reward is you get a bit of sugar, and the process is done. You are almost happy because you did your mission. You take the coffee, you take the cookie, so it's over. So it goes on like that on all the aspects. So if you want to change any habit of yourself, like for example, instead of coffee, so what you do, you have to redo the routine. So let us take another version. Here, coffee has been announced, but you are in a process of changing your coffee routine. So what you do, you say, okay, everybody is going to have coffee, but myself, I'm going to have water. So the routine has changed. Trigger is the same. Announcement about coffee is there. The coffee itself is there, but you are not following the path. You are just taking the water. And the reward comes as a happiness that you did a good thing. You just change your. So like, for example, I have now this one here. I use this as a reminder. Like, for example, I say, okay, I will not I will not over exaggerate anything in life. I will try to accept everything as it is in life. As soon as I don't do that, I change arm. So I say, okay, I failed this time, I failed. If I go down to 0 per day, then I'm done with the change process. If I'm 5, etc., a big progress. 3, good progress. 1, beautiful. But 0, then you made your change process. If you have 10 days, 10 consecutive days, 0. You can try with this, like, you can try this with anything which bothers you. It could be a relation, it could be, say, food, it could be smoking. Anyhow, if you want to change, what you need to do, you need to understand what's behind your behavior, why are you changing, what's happening. Then you have to surrender, you have to stop negotiating. You can't say, okay, I will smoke 2 cigarettes and then come back. Okay, because it's beer, so next to beer a cigarette is okay. Cheese is good with wine. So if you start to negotiate, then you can't change. You have to first understand that why you need to change, and then you have to stop negotiating, and then you execute. Then you train yourself living in the new way. So that's how a change happens. That's exactly what we do in our center, how you try to change your lifestyle. We have every day some presentations from Tom explaining why you need to go through this type of changes. This is a kind of my summary of how I made my change last 16 years. And I'm very happy I did it. I have a son around 27 years old, and I can do exactly what he does, maybe a bit more, thanks to how I eat. My daughter, she's a fighter, so we are balanced there. But I'm not any loser. So I encourage everybody to take control over their life. If even you are 90, it doesn't matter. I've seen people who started to run marathons at the age of 90, and they did it at the age of 100. So you can start anytime you like. Thank you very much. I believe Tom should